It might actually be the most derivative one of all. I mean, Christ, the same house.
Maybe so. But you forgot the first rule of surviving a stab movie. Never answer the...
I'm bored.
Wait!
And welcome back to Horror Queers. It's something bonus something. I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and yeah, everyone, we're gonna be briefly talking about the differences between M3GAN, the PG-13 theatrical cut, and M3GAN, the unrated cut, that just hit Peacock this past weekend.
Indeed, and the reason you said brief is because the differences are so slight that I can't imagine this episode running longer than 3 to 5 minutes.
Well, here's the thing, though. Was anyone because I think people misconstrued the quote that Akilah Cooper gave around the time the film came out, because she talks about how, oh yeah, her script was a lot gorier, there was a third act bloodbath, blah, 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 blah. But in that entire quote, again, it always sounds like, yes, she wrote that, but none of that was actually filmed. And so what we see in the unrated cut that we have here, it is R-rated. I mean, there's enough F-bombs here to make it R-rated. There is enough gore in here to make it R-rated. But it's not the gore fest that Akilah Cooper's script probably had.
Yeah, when I went back and kind of touched base on our Patreon episode, you definitely mentioned hoping that there would be something substantive in the climax, right? Like we were going to see a massive bloodbath in that demonstration. And no, that's not what we're getting here. So you're right. This is things that they trimmed so that they could get that PG-13 rating after the film took off on TikTok. And it's F-bombs and a little more gore. That's it.
Yeah. Do you have any preference between either of these versions, Joe?
I mean, here's the thing. The runtime is almost exactly the same. Like, this is the exact same movie we talked about. It's just that this one, you get a couple of blood sprays and some F-bombs. So moving ahead, when I watch the film again, as I undoubtedly will do, I'll probably just watch the unrated cut because it's got a bit more of the things I'm jazzed about.
Yeah, so I watched this last time with my husband, and it was interesting because, when it finished, we were talking about it, and he was like, yeah, it really is just the ssame film, but the additional seconds of footage, the alternate seconds of footage that we get, it kind of helps the vibe. Right. A little bit more, because this is, again, like, to me, this is more of an interesting look at film marketing and the MPA system, because, I mean, like, whenever the bully gets run over by the car, that actually isn't unrated footage, because there are, and Joe, I'm telling you, 0.2 seconds longer of where you actually see the car run him over. But again, it's not bloodier because we still get the blood stain that we saw in the theatrical cut.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big substantive differences that people are going to take notice of is that we get some close-ups of Breeden's ear getting ripped off, and that looks good. It's nice and juicy and wet. And then we get a lot more of the kill in the elevator. So the one dude gets sprayed with blood, and then M3GAN herself finishes him off instead of, like, putting his hand on the blade, and we see nothing.
Well, and the neighbor, we see, again, a split-second shot of a CGI chunk of her face flying off.
Yeah, that one to me was probably the most egregious, where I was just like, I had to squint and I missed it the first time, had to rewind and watch it again just to catch it because it's so brave.
Yeah, but I mean, I get everyone, like, this just goes to show you, like, had this version gone to theaters, it would have been R-rated. Even if you take out the F-bombs, there's still enough violence in here. And again, in split-second shots. And you're just kind of like, well, that's really stupid. And you're right, it is. But that's not the movie's fault.
No, I mean, that's a ratings game and a marketing ploy, as you suggested. And I'm glad that we've got this. It does remind me of some of the conversations we've had about how films back in the blockbuster days would definitely market themselves as unrated, and they would sell double or triple the amount that other films would. And it would, just be a little bit more colorful language. And I still just think it's the silliest thing that, I mean, this is probably 8 or 9 F-bombs in this unrated cut, but that is apparently enough to say, oh, you need to be 6 years older to watch this.
100%. So I guess, okay, to wrap this up then, the big question is this worth rewatching if you've already seen the theatrical cut?
I would say no. Like, don't rush out to see it. When we get the sequel and everybody does their rewatch, I would say pull out the unrated cut then.
Yeah, I think I'm inclined to agree. This isn't mandatory viewing. There's nothing here that's really going to be like, oh shit, like this is a completely different movie. However, if you do want to see what an R-rated version of this film would have looked like before they trimmed it to get that PG-13, and again, I'm saying trim, not cut, trim. I'd say seek it out, but yeah, it's not like a rush out.
It's not essential.
Yeah, essential. Great way to put it. Exactly.
Yeah, and folks, if you want to hear the rest of our thoughts on M3GAN, the complete film, we did do a whole episode on Patreon, so go and have a listen to that. We've got a lot more things to talk about in that one.
Yep, we sure do. But until next time, we can cross out this, whatever this episode is.
Bonus mini-sode micro-queers thing.
Yeah, we might just call micro-queers. Any bonus episode is just going to be micro-queers, whatever.
Sure, there we go.
There we go.
Atlas Avenue, a long stretch of road that encompasses everything the city of Kennett Heights has to offer. Neon lights, traffic, crime, the hustle and bustle of everyday life, and the craziest of characters. My office was above it all. My name is James Locke, and I'm a PI.
Hello, Mr. J. How the hell you doing today?
Good, Edith. Nearly every year I have a new case. New people to meet, new clues to discover, and new problems to solve. But I do it the old-fashioned way. No technology. Nothing post-1950. Hell, I don't even listen to podcasts, but you should. Atlas Avenue Beat is a spoof of the film noir genre with goofy characters, tons of wordplay, and non-stop raunchy humor. There's also 3 whole seasons out right now with more on the way. Just search for Atlas Avenue Beat wherever you listen to podcasts or visit us online at bloody.fm.